Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis, and thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. Today was a wet day, also a windy day out there, as we did have a weakening atmospheric river moving through our region. So across Southern California had heavier rainfall north of us, but it trickled its way down towards San Diego County and still made for some moderate to heavy rainfall out there, as well as some strong gusty winds that moved through, prompting a wind advisory. We had peak wind gusts that were in the 40s and 30s for the county, even 33 miles per hour for the airport. Palomar Mountain was at 46 miles per hour for today, and 30 miles per hour for Oceanside, where we also had some heavier rainfall moving in, especially for North County earlier. When we look at the alerts, so we had a wind advisory that was going until about 8 p.m. for tonight. It will expire at that time, but then once we get into tomorrow, wind speeds pick up again. Another incoming low pressure system bringing a chance for wet weather, also talking about those gusty winds, and these winds look to be stronger than the last round. That brings in wind gusts, and that's going to be about 60 to 75 miles per hour across our mountains out of the west. That's going to start at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, lasting all the way until 4 p.m. on Wednesday for the wind advisory. Those gusts into the 60s as well. The peak of it, that will be for the desert. Then later on tomorrow, we have a wind advisory that goes into effect west of the mountains. So that brings in those stronger gusts, about 30 to 45 miles per hour. And that's going to be out of the southwest with sustained wind speeds about 15 to 25 miles per hour. So west of the mountains, it looks to be very similar to what we had earlier today when we had those gusty winds that were moving through, and then you had the rain that followed. So we are still looking at some winds around being relatively high, leading to the potential for down trees and power lines out there. Have seen some reports of some down trees because, well, we already had saturated ground happening around the same time that we were also getting the rain that was coming in. So we could see more of that by tomorrow as we are looking at these winds picking up. So it goes into effect at 8 p.m. Tuesday night all the way through 8 a.m. and that's going to be on Wednesday morning west of the mountain. So still not done with the wind advisories. Also talking about added alerts with that. You have a high surf advisory that will continue for much of this week. Right along our coastline, you have large breaking waves about 6 to 10 feet, sets up to 12 feet. That will continue all the way until 10 p.m. on Friday night. This leads to dangerous conditions for people who are not skilled swimmers. Also talking about minor coastal flooding, as well as some beach erosion being possible, especially when you're talking about these large breaking waves just smashing along our coastline. You have high seas anticipated with this storm system moving through, and so a gale warning has also been issued because of the gustier winds, as well as seas expected to build to about 9 to 13 feet. When we look across the region, over the last several hours, we have had influxes of moisture. We had a line of heavier rainfall that moved in earlier today, and that prompted, by the afternoon hours, we were dealing with that late morning, early afternoon, and that continued all the way into the 3 o'clock hour. We were dealing with a flood advisory that was issued by the National Weather Service. It expired about 3:21 earlier this afternoon, and that's because of the heavy rainfall that came down and some flooded roadways out there. We could see more of those alerts going out as we're still holding on to chances for heavy rainfall in our forecast at times, and that is going to be especially in the overnight hours as we go from tonight through tomorrow morning, again about Tuesday night through Wednesday morning. So please use caution. Cannot stress this enough, especially late at night if you're going to be out there when it's really coming down. If you don't know how deep the water is, it is not good to drive through a flooded roadway. Don't drown, turn around. That is the verbiage with that, because we want to keep you nice and safe. So please be careful out there as we are still looking at the chance for more of these heavier pockets of rainfall and even some thunderstorms. Across our mountains, starting to see some flurries as well, and that's because we're getting that snow level coming down. So it will continue to be decreasing as we go into tomorrow. That brings it down to roughly about 5,000 feet. So we'll see some snow in our local mountains, as well as snow across Southern California mountains and extending all the way in towards the Sierra. This soggy setup will stick around. So still with the rain showers for tonight and a little bit more of a heavier pocket as we go overnight. And then we get to Wednesday, where that snow level is going to come down even more. You're going to see that popping up in your extended forecast, bringing it down to about 4,000 feet. So when all is said and done, when it comes to snow, we could see about 3 to 7 inches across our mountains. Over the last 12 hours as of this afternoon, the bulk of that moisture did fall for North County, and that was more than 3/4 of an inch for Valley Center, more than a half an inch for Ramona, as well as for Escondido. The same for Carlsbad, that more than a half an inch mark, and also for Fallbrook. Pretty close to about an inch of rainfall for Palomar Mountain. And then across the county, we did have some totals that were shy of a 1/4 of an inch. That was for downtown as well as for Chula Vista. And in some spots, just a few hundredths of an inch so far, 9/100ths of an inch for Campo and 6/100ths of an inch, and that is for Borrego Springs. But as mentioned, we're not done yet. So we could see these totals going up even more. Here's what's suggested by the National Weather Service when all is said and done with that additional moisture for Tuesday and Wednesday. That brings us to about 1.5 to 2 inches possible for Julian, as well as upwards 2.5 inches for Palomar Mountain. Even seeing some rainfall for the desert that could bring in close to about an inch of rainfall when all is said and done for Borrego Springs. You're looking at, on the higher end, about 1/2 an inch for Chula Vista. Could see a little bit more than that for El Cajon, and then getting pretty close to about 1/4 of an inch of rainfall additional on top of the totals I just showed you for downtown. So when all is said and done, downtown could see a little bit more than 1/2 an inch. I'll always stress this. These subjects or totals are always subject to change, but this is what the rainfall totals that are being suggested by the National Weather Service are reflecting. So we'll continue to keep you posted if that does change up in our forecast. When you look at the forecast clock, let's go ahead and set it in motion. So we're starting to see more activity around 9:24 this evening, getting concentrated across the mountains. There's that push in the overnight hours. So late tonight all the way through tomorrow morning, could even see a thunderstorm or two or hear it. And that's for the South Bay, seeing that near Poway, and just kind of threading the line right there when it comes to North County, moving in towards Temecula right there off of the 15. Then we have some snow that starts to fall by tomorrow morning across our mountains, and that's because that snow level, as I mentioned, by tomorrow comes down to about 5,000 feet. Also seeing some rain for Bonita, seeing that stretch in towards Jamul as well, right there along the 8. So for tomorrow, for our Tuesday, we're not talking about a washout, actually a little bit more of a break. And that's because we're expecting these surges to come in into the overnight hours. So by daylight hours for tomorrow, maybe an isolated shower or two for your Tuesday, still with the cool temperatures out there, and then seeing that reflected with a shower, a lone one right there near Julian. That's around 3 in the afternoon. But then we gear up for another push of that moisture as we get into the late night hours. So late tomorrow night through the overnight hours for Wednesday, that brings in more of that light to moderate rainfall, and as that snow level continues to come down, bringing in the potential for more of that as well. So that comes down to about 4,000 feet on Wednesday. As we hit the overnight hours, as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday, you're seeing more of that widespread rainfall. Talking about heavier pockets there as well. And so that's when we're still holding on to a chance of seeing more of those flood alerts that could be going out. And especially depending on how long it does take this water to just kind of recede a little bit more. And you could be dealing with some flooded roadways out there on your morning commute. Then you get to about Wednesday afternoon. Still seeing some activity out there by the daylight hours, maybe some light activity across the mountains, seeing that near Ramona. Also seeing some isolated activity happening near the mountains, near Mount Laguna as well in Pine Valley, and then everything starts to move in again, and that's going to be by Thursday. So it's just going to come in waves. So we're talking about rounds of this moisture. So light to moderate rainfall around 11:25. Our in-house model is suggesting for Thursday. Still see some of those flurries right there across the mountains with that snow level near about 4,500 feet. Then we have another push by the afternoon hours on Thursday, about 4:35 in the afternoon. We're seeing that more on the moderate side for most of the county. Still seeing some flurries across the mountains, and then things drying out past that point. So we're not really focusing so much on active periods during the daytime hours for Tuesday and Wednesday when it comes to our rain chances, but it does go up, as I just showed you with our in-house model for Thursday. Everything tapers off once we hit Friday. We go into the weekend, high pressure builds in, and that dries us out, and also temperatures start to recover a little bit more back into the 70s across the inland valleys by Sunday. So for the next 4 days for the coast, reflecting not just the gusty winds and our chances for rain, but also the high surf, you have weather impact alert days through Friday. By the weekend, things looking to dry out, calm down, and then temperatures starting to rebound just a little bit more. You have the upper 50s for daytime highs for Wednesday and Thursday. You're back into the upper 60s. That's going to be on Sunday and then carrying into Monday as well. So tomorrow, not really looking at too much in the form of a whole lot going on with wet weather for the inland valleys. As you saw, we do take a break, and also the wind alert doesn't start until the nighttime hours. So that's why you're not seeing it reflected with a red box right there for the inland valleys. But because we are looking at those winds being in effect, the higher ones, as well as more rain chances for Wednesday and Thursday. That is your weather impact alert day, especially in the early morning hours. And then we get to the weekend, we dry out, still some lingering clouds into the start of the weekend, and then temperatures back into those low 70s on Sunday and Monday. You have a chance for some showers as well as some mountain snow. As mentioned, snow level coming down to roughly about 4,000 feet by Wednesday, maintaining that a little bit more on Thursday, and then we start to get to the drier days by the weekend. Daytime highs in the 40s for the next few days for the mountains. You're back into the 60s starting on Sunday. You're looking at strong gusty winds for the desert. That's why you're seeing weather impact alert days. Also looking at chances for additional rainfall, especially on Thursday. Things look to dry out once we hit the weekend, and temperatures responding by going from the 50s for the desert for Wednesday and Thursday back into the 70s by Sunday, even upper 70s to low 80s by Monday of next week. Please be safe out there. Use caution out there on the roadway, especially when you're talking about those slick roads. Have that umbrella nice and handy as we go all the way into Thursday. By the weekend, you can ditch it. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.